Is used audio gear a good value? Well, I think in a lot of cases it is, depending upon the value of your time and your risk tolerance. I know I've gotten some pretty good deals over the years. So I'd like to talk about some of the places where I've gotten good deals on used gear, and I thought I'd let you in on a little secret. Well, it's really not a secret, but it's a place where I've purchased top quality gear that was in really good shape for rock bottom prices. And it's a place that a lot of people don't consider. Audio gear can be a particularly good value because used audio gear is a little bit different than buying a used car. If I'm going to buy a used car, even if that car looks good, one of the questions I'm going to ask is, how many miles are on it? And if that car has high mileage, I'm going to be a little trepidatious because a lot of things like cars are mechanical in nature and they wear over time. So if that car's got 250,000 miles on it, my concern is how long is it going to be until something is going to need major repairs on that vehicle that'll be expensive. And even if I get the car for a good price, if I need to do a major engine overhaul or replace a transmission or something of that nature, that's probably not going to be such a good deal. But when it comes to audio equipment and other electronic equipment, it tends not to wear with use. So you can find audio equipment that's been around for a long time that still performs very well. The performance tends not to rapidly degrade over time, so an old piece of gear probably still works about as well as it did when it was new. Now, this is not entirely true. Over a long enough period of time, like 20, 30, 40 years, components can shift in value, and that could impact the performance of the gear. Capacitors can dry up and fail, and that can cause problems. But more often, I'm interested in the mechanicals. Are the controls and the connectors, the overall shape of the equipment, still intact? And if the equipment is in good shape overall, but there is some wear in a control, like one of the controls has a scratchy action to it, well, that's usually a pretty inexpensive repair, assuming that the parts are still available. Obviously, when you buy new gear, there are some benefits, such as you know what you're getting. You can be assured that whatever you get will probably work perfectly correctly and be in great shape. And if there are any problems, well, you've got the support of your retailer and the manufacturer to make it right. And it's also the most convenient. You can just call your favorite salesperson and say, ship it, and you'll have it in your hands in a few days, or you go down to their showroom and pick it up. So that's the lowest drama, easiest way to take care of things, at the highest price, of course. I've purchased used gear from a number of different places, such as Craigslist and eBay, Facebook Marketplace, music stores that sell used gear. My preference is always to deal with sellers in person, so I can actually see the equipment, have them demonstrate to me that it works, and have an opportunity to give it a good look over to make sure that it's really what I want. If I'm purchasing equipment from somebody who's going to ship me something, well, there's a little bit more risk there because I have to trust the seller's full disclosure and hope that the shipping company doesn't damage things along the way. Fortunately, I've had pretty good luck, generally speaking. But one of the places where I've had the very best experience is from churches. And not just any church, these really large mega churches that have modern facilities, large audiovisual systems, and large congregations. A while back, there was a church like that was selling some loudspeakers. And I looked up what the loudspeakers were, and there were some very nice install speakers that would sell for well over $1,000 a piece, and the church was selling a whole pallet full of these things for $1,000. So I thought that was pretty compelling. And this was a speaker that I could fit into the equipment that I could use. So I go check this out, and they are as described, and the speakers are in like brand new condition because being used in a church, the equipment is just bolted in place and used once or twice a week, and it doesn't get bounced around a truck from gig to gig, so it tends to stay in really good condition. And the churches tend to purchase really high quality gear. And so I thought that was a good deal. Was happy to buy his speakers. And then I asked, so do you guys have anything else you want to sell? And the person I'm working with says, well, I don't know, but we do have a back room full of various miscellaneous used AV gear. And so why don't you take a look, and if there's anything back there that you'd be interested in, I can ask the boss to see if they'd be interested in letting it go. So we take a look at their collection of old used equipment, and they had all kinds of stuff back there. And one thing that I noticed was a big shelf full of power amplifiers. And these were some really nice, high-quality power amplifiers from a few years back. And I knew that these amplifiers sold for between $1,000 to $2,000 a piece. These are big, 75-pound monsters, high-powered units. And so seeing that, I said, would you be interested in selling them power amps, maybe? And he said, well, I'm not sure. Let me call. I'll call my manager. So he goes, calls his boss, comes back a couple minutes later and says, yeah, he says that we could let go of those, $100 a piece. What a deal. So I gladly gave him a few $100 more and picked up some really nice amplifiers for rock bottom prices, just ridiculously cheap. And so that worked out really good. And all of that equipment, like I say, it was used in a very gentle sort of way over the years. So it was in like new condition. And the church was happy to basically take a token donation from me to the church to clear out some of their inventory and make some room in their back closet. And that's the thing, is with these really large mega churches, they take in a pretty good amount of income from their congregation, and they want to keep their facilities up to date. So every handful of years, they will have some professional AV company come in and install the latest, greatest hardware, and that may end up with them having a bunch of used stuff in the back that they just might be willing to let go of for a good price. Now, of course, there are no absolutes. I've also talked to some churches that had some gear that they would be willing to sell, but their idea of what its value was and my idea of what its value should be were pretty far apart, and it didn't happen. But those sorts of things, that's just how the used marketplace goes. So there's a tip for you, which is if you have a very large modern church in your area that has a sophisticated audiovisual system, it might be worth just inquiring with one of the people who work there to see if they have any old equipment that they might be willing to let go of. I know I've done pretty well by pursuing that. So I hope that was an interesting and useful tip for you. And I hope that you find value here and choose to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do choose to subscribe, please click the bell icon so that you're notified when new content comes down. Your actions of subscribing, participating in the comments, giving the video a thumbs up, all of these things help promote this content to more people, and I appreciate that. So thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you again soon on another upcoming episode.